to look back, important, right? But we also need to be present, what's here, what's required here, and then we do a little vision forward in intention setting. How might I want this to be? What's going to be my practice? What's going to be my commitments towards that? Now that we don't have a structured class, although we will be here every Tuesday still, though we're not going to be doing a curriculum with the book, how do I continue, sustain, inquire, right, and intention these awakening joy teachings? So that's actually what we're going to be talking about. What do you do now? Right, if we don't have that conversation, we tend to leave it to what? Chance, fate, the gods, the weather, your own dangerous mind. Most terrifying of all. Use the weather instead. It's actually a better, what might be more helpful. But we tend to leave it to random conditions, which is what you do every day that you don't wake up and make a commitment to intention. That's what you do every day. When you wake up and go, what about my tea? What about the email? What about, and don't say, how? How will I choose to live this day? Which is why if you didn't do anything, you would want to call those 3 words to mind. Whatever 3 are meaningful for you, whatever 3 inspire, ignite, right, enliven you, call those to mind. So words like, let's think of a couple while we're waiting to start. What are they? Love, kindness, patience, compassion, trust, letting go, generosity, peace, forgiveness. What else? There's a million. Resilience, surrender, spaciousness, compassion. Others? Freedom, presence, optimism, strength, courage, fearlessness, abiding, truth. Let's make a list because you're going to be asked to call on these. This is an essential part of our practice. Release. Some words I have on my Wordle, and it did not work. So if you didn't figure out how to go to what was then called Word It Out, I stuck in another one, so I was able to generate one. But Wordle was got a little funky. It worked the first time I did it, but something else happened. These are the words you're using: open-hearted, oneness, mindful, grateful, fierce, peace, interconnection, interbeing, Buddha body, Buddha breath, blessings, blameless, always. So we get the idea. Make yourself that list. Keep it handy, right? Just a little list like this, and keep it handy, because then every day a little, right, just a visual could do what? Ignite, invite. Because the ones that are meaningful to you, there it'll be. Right, so that's worditout.com, and it generates it and allows it to print. And if you had a color printer, it would do that for you. What other kinds of things do we fear? I think I'll turn, I might even be on it. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I turned on recording.
Am I recording?
Yeah.
Okay. Courtney, I want to check in with you because I don't see you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Can you hear me okay, or should I try to turn it up?
No, I can hear you perfectly.
All right, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Check it in here. This is Robin, I'm checking in with you too. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Not very well.
I'm on my way.
Okay, we'll see you soon.
Great.
All right, bye. All right, there we go. Here we are. So other things for a minute while we're letting Robin arrive. Fear of change, fear of not knowing, we said, not knowing what comes next, not feeling or recognizing the supports that are available to us would be maybe read something like, without the class, how am I going to keep this in mind and going? We just identified one source, getting our word bank, having it available as our intention prompter in the morning. It's one of the reasons I would like you to do it. I have to say, I did mine last night, and when I looked at it this morning, one word stuck out. I was a little surprised. I thought I'd try a little experiment. And so I just looked, just a group of words, and one. And I find that interesting, right? There's a whole bunch of words. What about that one? Well, I am certain that that's the one I need to work on today. That peace word just jumped right out at me. Jumped. And I thought, how amazing that also words can offer themselves in some beautiful way to you, right? Not just you have to go pick one. That word picked me. I wasn't thinking a thing when it happened. Now that I am reflecting on it, it makes a lot of important sense. So fear of change, fear of the unknown, or what we call sometimes in Sangha groundlessness, the not knowing, which is true. How often would you say? Isn't it funny that we go into kind of weird delusion? Like you know something? Like I have a little coffee date. Guess what I'm imagining? That I get there. It's a little crazy. Because what's the truth? I can intention there, right? I want to be on time. I look forward to seeing the person. But that I will be there is not actually accurate, is it? But we tend to just string our moments together because I've had this one, I now have this one. And if you live that way, it's why we're going to do our fall training, by the way, which is going to be called The Sacred Journey, Cultivating Compassionate Presence in Living and Dying. We're ready to move there. We were going to consider it this spring. Everybody went, nope, not yet. Don't go there. Don't go there. It's how to go there with ease, happiness, joy, abiding, right? We're going to bring some of the things we cultivated in this last 18 weeks to that fall course. And the reason we don't like the idea of death are the things we just named, right? Change we don't know. A sense of self we cannot imagine or anticipate, right? Even though it's true for my coffee date, isn't it? Who am I going to be at the coffee date? I have absolutely no idea. You'd be crazy to think you knew something about that. And if you knew me, you really knew it was true, right? Don't know how we're going to be, who we're going to be, who's the I who appears. We don't like this idea, just like in death. Where is the I? Who will appear? How will it be? The change is, and then we get fearful. And the reason we're going to do the fall course is all of the teachings through all traditions, all spiritual traditions say what? There is a course, there is a curriculum, there is a way in this life to not only prepare for that, but to train so that in that transition, just like all transitions, What can we be? Open, at ease, calm, abiding. And in certain traditions, particularly the Tibetan, what do they say? How you die will have everything to do with how it goes. Those moments. And then we will be talking in the fall, by the way, about that, about the different bardos that they name. The bardo of dissolution, right? The one where, and you've been there already, haven't you? This is why we call them the bardos of living and dying. You've already been in the bardo where you didn't know how the next moment was going to go. And you knew you didn't know, right? You've been in that moment. Like, I don't have any idea how this works out. And how we open, accept, appear in those moments has everything to do, you know this, with how the next one will go. Isn't it true now? How could it be different later? It is always true that these conditions, these moments set the stage for the very next one, and then the very next one, and the very next one. And we call that sovereignty. We call that sovereignty. You have sovereignty completely over your life and death. Having no control, do you, over its condition? I was talking with my husband. Of course, he gets mentioned in every tape he watches. He's going, oh, Jesus. There I am. We were talking, and he said, who wants to know if they're dying? Who wants to know? And Lisa was there. And I said, I do. No, I actually want to know. Why? There is some things. There are some tasks, activities, communications, love that I want to be able to express, that I would choose to want to know, so that those could occur, were it possible, right? Were it possible. I'm not going to get to pick, am I? So in some way, it's a funny conversation. Exactly. Yes, that's exactly the point. So then how do we train this present moment? So you express the love now. You communicate the goodness now. You make the connection now. You ask or offer forgiveness now. Because in fact, what's the phrase? Somebody can help me. The time of death is uncertain. The moment of death is certain. Doesn't it? And so can you see why it's such an important set of practices and opportunities, so that we can be here and also completely release the idea that we know that there's a certain way, it's got to go. These are all cause for suffering. So there's my, we have not. In fact, the text I'm reading in Love with the World is likely not going to be it. It's a lovely book and I'm enjoying it a lot, but it is narrative in a way that I don't think will be a strong support for us. I'm also looking at Stepping at the Edge, Jones, Standing at the Edge by Joan. It's not, I know. I looked at The Five Invitations by Franco Staszewski. This has a little possibility. And Aging for Beginners by Ezra Beta. And I love Ezra. And again, there's at least little vignettes there. We will pick one soon, but so far that has not been easy. Also, we will be using, those who will be teaching, me and others, will be using A Sacred Journey, the online teachings by Pema Chodron, who does do a 6-week teaching up at Gampo Abbey, and I have that available. So I don't know that you'll want to buy that. I don't think that's going to be useful, but we will be making offerings from those teachings also. Exciting, right? And sort of fall, a lovely time, right? It's sort of right there in its own bardo, isn't it? So it feels like right timing. So why don't we practice first? Mike, could you give me some idea? Did you guys just do a particular practice on Saturday?
Yeah, it was very particular.
Doesn't even remember. Jim and you? Lovely. I was actually going to stay with that. I think we're going to stay there. I was actually going to do the Buddha body practice. So why don't we? It feels like another mind. We can activate another mind for that practice. This mind will have very little to do with thinking. You won't be naming sensations. You're not going to be, you will have to direct attention for a time in this practice. But remember, as we were doing the Buddha breath, Buddha being practice from last time, remember that idea of open space, making contact with an object briefly and then offering open space, right? Not only external, like open space for the foot, but also internal. What's that radiant open space in the foot feel like to you? Let's see if we can't make contact a little bit and see how that might work for you. A very different kind of body scan than MBSR's scan, except to the extent that we will be directing our attention there. This is good training. Touching in and opening. And so finding an upright, dignified, wakeful posture. Taking a big in-breath. Holding it at the top, releasing the body, and a big out. Can you hold it without tension? Do it again. Breathing in. Soften the body. And then breathe out. And then allowing the breath to find its natural rhythm. The birth and the death of each breath. Just letting the breath happen. Settling back and in. And then, as we always do, we're going to call to mind the intentions for our practice today. At least this moment. And the way we can begin to inquire into right intention, which is the first of the Eightfold Noble Path, is to see how things actually are. And so we're beginning to turn towards the body a bit. And remember, I said that peace word jumped out at me. And as I checked in to this body being, I noticed the restlessness. Thinking about the things we love, thinking about the people we love. This will help set the course for this practice. May we cause least harm. May we be a contribution to the good. May we do so for ourselves and all beings everywhere without exception, omitting none. May this practice be a benefit. I'm watching for the tendency of the thinking mind to jump in straight away, imagining that there's a right or wrong way to practice. And the truth is we do follow instructions, and then we let go and see what's here. And so the first instruction, and I'm going to offer it again today, is to place light attention on the sensations of this body in the out breath. This is directed attention for a moment, and so you are going to it requires a little muscle, a bit of effort, and intentioning breath by breath. So we turn towards the breath, we open attention there, and then we abide. Watch for the habit to think we can measure attention by how long we hold attention on the breath. It actually doesn't work that well. So placing light attention, opening to the out breath, and then abiding. This is the Buddha breath, the breath that already is. The breath this moment, without artifice, fabrication, or concept. Just opening into the breath. No struggle, no resistance. Pure awareness, already enlightened. Nothing else to do or be. This awareness has nothing to do with the condition of the breath, whether short or long. It is no less open, equanimous, or easeful, no matter the condition. Practice here with this one out breath. From the pure awareness point of view, whatever you notice is enlightened also. Noticing the thought about the breath, enlightened. Seeing if we can put down all expectations, fears, hopes, wanting and not wanting, so we can move closer to the breath. There are two ways to do this. One is to recognize it and allow its natural release. It'll naturally change and dissolve. The other is to place awareness and attention there and actually soften the body. Inviting that open, empty, radiant space in which the breath moves. So you can create space with the mind, you can create space with the body, and the truth is there is always space. The open, infinite space of Buddha being. And then directing the Buddha breath and the Buddha mind down into these Buddha feet, feeling the aliveness, the vibrancy, the radiance, the warmth of the feet. Noticing the feet in their appearance and their disappearance, breath by breath. The feet in their ever-changing reality. Feet like this. And the knowing. And then feet like this. These Buddha feet. Completely different. Can we sharpen this Buddha mind and rest it in these Buddha feet? Letting all sensations and lack of sensations simply come and go in that pure open space of awareness. No one sensation better than another. And offering the Buddha smile. These beautiful feet. This is a practice of letting go of ideas, concepts, histories, conditions, preferences, so that we can actually experience the feet. Breathing down the Buddha body with the Buddha breath, pure awareness of the feet. And then opening beyond the feet to include the legs. These Buddha legs. Feel the energy, the strength, the aliveness, the flexibility, the sensations in these Buddha legs. Pure awareness, abiding the legs. warmth or coolness, gross, subtle sensations, pleasant or unpleasant. Buddha being abides it all. And then opening beyond these Buddha feet and these Buddha legs into the Buddha hips. Pure awareness in contact with the hips. Big or small, fleshy or bony, weighted or unweighted, breath by breath. Knowing these hips. Can you feel the breath sensations here? The rising or falling from the hip socket. Buddha being right here in the Buddha hips. And then opening now and including the Buddha back. The uprightness, the inner dignity, the flexibility of this Buddha back. Rising and falling, expanding and contracting. See if you can relax the flesh of the body around the architecture of the back. feeling its natural uprightness. This Buddha back. And then dropping into the Buddha's shoulders, relaxed. And then feeling into the Buddha arms and these Buddha hands. Heavy, weighted, restful. Reminders of our own Buddha nature. Buddha hands that give and receive. Not clenched or flaccid. Feeling their warmth. The warmth of your own Buddha being held in these Buddha hands. And we smile, that gentle Buddha smile. For all the goodness in these Buddha hands. All the kindness, all the care, the compassion, the tenderness, the connection propagated by these Buddha hands. And then moving back up from the hands, up the arms, up to the shoulders, these relaxed Buddha shoulders. We check into this beautiful Buddha head, feeling the rise of the crown of the head to the heaven. Feeling the draw. Feel the support. Pure awareness of this Buddha head. Then as we breathe in, coming into the front of the head, feeling the naturalness, the serenity, the gentle smile, and the stillness of the Buddha face. A little smile in the corner of the Buddha eyes. The softening of the Buddha face, the cheeks, the jaw, and the Buddha smile. This is the Buddha being. Touching into this Buddha throat, open, black. The Buddha lungs, the Buddha chest. Offering us life with each breath. This Buddha heart. Radiant, spacious, warm, reflecting goodness in all directions. Feel that warmth radiating throughout the whole of this Buddha body. Let it move beyond the body, out into boundless open space. And dropping the radiant Buddha heart mind down into the Buddha belly. Open space of awareness. And then see if we can let the whole of this Buddha body dissolve so that what remains is that radiant, open, empty space. Actually, you're dissolving every breath. Moving closer to your own Buddha being. Breath by breath. feel the energy of all the Buddhas throughout all time. All that goodness called awake and alive here in you. There is no condition that can obscure it. It is not born and it cannot die. It is always and now. Buddha being. Colorless, ageless, birthless, and deathless. Never limited, always abundant. Unshakable, imperturbable, ineffable. Buddha being. Rest in this open, radiant awareness. Know it as your own true home, your own true nature. Available always, here always. And in the Buddha being, the Buddha smiles, knowing. And then taking our hands, we draw them together, placing them palm to palm together at the Buddha heart. And we vow. out of the Buddha being in me and the Buddha being in you and the Buddha being in all beings. May our Buddha nature be realized. Is it just loving and accepting? It certainly would include it, but I don't think it would be limited to it. But of course, wouldn't it? It would include everything, certainly, as would awareness. I can't think of a thing it wouldn't be, really, as I think about it. Right? It would include everything. So as it would include openness and acceptance, it would include rejection and refusal by its nature, right? And it's all open. There it would be. We would see that as well, right? There would be no moments then that would not be some expression. Hard to get a hold of that though, isn't it? We're like, really? I don't think so. Not that neighbor, not that thing, but actually in its truth. And it's a hard idea, isn't it? Because we like things, we prefer things, we want things. And we don't want and don't like and other things. But in our Buddha nature, it's all merely phenomenon, coming and going. There's nothing to reject or push away. Not even the rejection and the pushing away of that. We can open then, couldn't we still? Oh, noticing, here, opening, recognizing is our beautiful beginning. Right? If you can recognize the tightness, the grip, the resistance, the not wanting, this is a part of the critical Buddha path, isn't it? It's essential. It's essential. In that awakening, then we all can invite and invoke and allow, really, the Buddha nature. If we could just drop in on how things are, we'd have a lot less trouble. A lot less trouble. So this is our last official, again, the words last and first, and that's always a little failed for us. But we talked at the very beginning, before I think the tape went on, about what did you notice contributed for you to awakening joy in this series? What were the things that you noticed contributed to this, again, always available, always present moment of joy? intention is a key, and that's why it was the first chapter and why I'm asking that you keep doing it. What would you say about it, Lisa, for you? Yeah, I think we might be useful for us all. Anybody notice the days you didn't call it up? And did you notice what happened? It was so clear for me. When I went into Task Positive Network right away, like, got to get that call in, got to go to that email, got to get up and do the thing. And really, though I still call it to mind because I have enough training for doing that, I didn't really rest in it very well. I went, yeah, right, that. Good. I remember those. And off I went into my doing mode. I'll use that word. Task Positive Network is probably a friendlier way of thinking about it. And as we said before, we know in the neuroscience that the Task Positive Network has no capacity for joy, just so you know. It isn't where it comes from. So when you say, I feel really good about all that I did, it doesn't mean that's not true. It means in just Task Positive Network, in the doing, that's not what's happening. You have to reflect on that. You have to identify or define yourself in some way in relationship to it, right? And go, see, oh, look, or maybe perceive the good, right? Getting to the walk, getting to the workout, getting to the commitments, right? And then we reflect and go, wait, this is good. This is good, right? And then we can actually feel something around it, but not in task. Once we jump up to get to that email, there is no, you might notice, it's not a good feeling, is it? No, it's not what's happening. And just know that we need to invite, call up, and call on more than that if we are choosing happiness in our life. It doesn't mean we aren't all going to do things. We're going to all get in our cars, we're all going to drive them, right? But without the intention now, for at least the base intentions, causing least harm and contributing something to the good, without that in hand, you will just be driving. Do you see the difference right away once you invite the intention? Yeah, even now the driving becomes the Buddha nature, which of course, right? Can I drive with care? Can I drive with gratitude? Can I drive with genuine interest? You know, it would be whatever your intention was. But now it's completely shifted. But the doing's still happening. But it's framed, isn't it, in a whole different, we could call it light. And that light of awareness is the one you're going to be investigating. How do I do this every day? How do I set my own Buddha nature so that I'm looking through the Buddha eyes?
No, even when I forget to set the intention, it's just funny. But then, even if I forget that, but then I can sit and
Yes. Yes.
You can see now.
Yes.
Think about it many times.
Yes. Yes, you can. It's not everything that's lost. It's not actually ever lost. It can be remembered, enlivened every moment. There's no moment. I would rather not leave it to random acts of remembering. That's not my preference. Remember, I am not choosing a life randomly. I'm trying to choose it intentionally with purpose. But it is also true when we forget, as we will, it's a part of our brain stem, we can see that too, remember that too. In fact, one of my favorite cues for awakening is suffering. I really notice it's like a fabulous 2x4, very consistently, right up beside my head, because I'm in struggle, I'm in suffering, I'm in unhappiness. Now, by the way, there is really, that's not completely true, because there is that which can know that, not be lost in it. To go, really? Restlessness this morning, right? I noticed restlessness. Is that all I am? Of course it is not. Absolutely not. And it was restlessness in its arising? It was. Noticed. Noticed. I'm not lost in the restlessness. And I noticed the appearance of restlessness. Can you see the difference? But remember what we talked about in part of this work is our identities tend to get wrapped, don't it? Around a moment, around a preference, around an opinion, around a feeling. We really can really do that. I am restless. I am angry. I am insufficient, right? And the minute we start that game of solidifying and identifying, guess what we do? We open that door, take it everywhere. And now you are this. Life is this. See, it's a kind of like Eckhart Tolle says, the pain body expands and can consume. But what did Victor say? Any moment. Any moment. Here it is. Wow. I'm looking at that show going, no, doesn't have to play like this. I can remember. And so how are you going to remember? Just from this practice alone, what possibilities did you see? I have the pages that you gave us that are stuck on my wall. And that's what you were just talking about. I just woke up this morning with anxiety, and I realized last night, I had not been setting any intention for like the last 3 days. And so when I went to bed, I read it. And when I got up this morning, I read it. I think it's yes, yes. Little cues, right? Little cues, however you set them, whatever those are for you, a quote, something written like the Wordle, intention words that you can draw on every day. Anything else? So words and reminders, little material things placed throughout. What else? Music, right? Contact with sound. Way to open or awaken with sound, right? Sure. The sound of the birds that come through my window every day. I have a little saying I wrote about the Buddha bird, right? I remember this. The Buddha bird calling to my own Buddha being, right? Remembering with contact, what else? So sounds, we could contact certain sounds, certain words, mental imagery we could use. So the Tibetans actually ask you, and I love this idea, we'll be doing something like it in the fall, to actually construct your deity. Construct the deity. Construct the Buddha you. We're going to give it eyes and a certain ear and a mouth. And actually in the Bardos, in the transition from life to death, they actually ask you to hold the image, the deity image, the Buddha image, the Godhead, the right image, so that you have something to settle into for a time, because all that will fall away. everything else starts to fall away. So you have no contact, you have no sound, you have no word bank, you have no, right? This is the nature of death, isn't it? All that stuff's going away. And so they say, we're going to give you something, but you have to train for it. And so we're going to make our own, right, God image, Buddha image, whatever you would call that. It's not important, is it? It's important that is that which I know is good in me, sacred in me and all beings. However you would do that. And it says, train, place attention in this. Place attention in this so that when everything else falls away, there it is. We could do that, couldn't we? So I say, I have a little saying, the Buddha bird is a part of it, which is awakening with Buddha eyes, listening with Buddha ears, feeling with the Buddha heart. Right? So couldn't you just call whatever that is for you? You could say God eyes, goodness, couldn't you? Just remembering that in us. We have to call it up, says the neuroscience. Left to its own device, it gets dusty. It's not gone. Just gets, we lose a little contact because task positive, remember, by itself is not sufficient. We have to call it up. That's what calling up intention is. Calling up our own God nature, Buddha nature, remembering. So can you think of a few words? What could you say to yourself? How do you remember? First thing in the morning. Equanimity. Intention. Right? That you need to call it up is uncompromisable. That you need. I don't want to fool you. If you don't call it up, Robin ran into it. I ran into it even by calling it quickly, just to get my checklist in because I had the 7 a.m. call. Right? Oop, oop.
Even when it's like full of infection,
That's
my
right.
body is not responding to the way that
That's right. Yes, that's right.
So what I do, like, I totally forget about everything. I just, I need to trust. And if I don't do anything, something will happen. Like,
Yes.
it's helpful for me.
Yes. Creating space. You're just creating space for the knowing. Right, by the nature of space, we notice. There, when we rest in open space, the truth is Buddha nature arising. Yeah, in some way, all the tasking has to fall away. It is true. Once you set an idea about what you need to do in order to blah, 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 you get in some kind of trouble. Right, don't we? That's the task positive network, how it hijacks you. We can get into doing in meditation. We can get into doing and living. Can't we? We can do it with love. We can, right, love like this. Got to do it like this. Got to do it like this. Right? And we get in a lot of trouble because then the truth of the Buddha nature is the love that is there cannot be allowed to arise in that open space. It's big. Yep. We commit and let go, you know, it's a little of both. We have to set the intention for it and then open to what is. And we don't know what that's going to look like we said, right? We don't know.
Like these humor, these voices or the voice of ego that's constantly there to call it out, make a little joke.
Yeah.
Is works for me.
Yeah.
Because I've spent so many years fighting does not work. But laughing at it, like,
Yeah.
it kind of just goes.
Yeah. If you can laugh at it, it means you can see what it really is. The mirage. right? You can, ha ha,
That's why I like breath of fire.
clearing.
Yeah.
Creates an energy for the clearing. Mhm. So you each have a little idea, don't you, about your way, a way that you can remember, remind, and open to the reality. You don't have to create the reality. You don't work that hard. That means you missed it. So in the do mode, we tend to go do as a way of thinking we are creating. Can you think of anything more grandiose than that? Can you hear that? That we are going to make that. It's crazy. Like you've got that. No, being that is you. But this idea that I've got to make it happen. I've got to create it. It's me. Be watchful of that. Actually, you will get in your own way often. I don't know if anybody saw what is the name? Mindful Health Summit. Did you watch that? I wish I could remember. It wasn't Richie Davidson, but someone else. They said, so you've been pretty successful, and you're sort of. It wasn't John, but John says it all the time too. So what would you say your one? Everybody's looking for the success. No, right? Like, what did you do to make this successful? It might have been John. He goes, I got out of the way. That's what I did. I didn't use my own thinking. I got out of the way and just kept trying to see what was there. And then I'd have some idea about it, and I'd try to recognize that was just me, little thinking about how it should go. And then I tried to get out of the way again. And it has then become so much larger than anything I could have imagined. I could not have imagined this, right? That me, with an opinion, a thought, a belief. This was much bigger. And really, when I heard it, I was thinking, oh my gosh, there it is. That's the Buddha nature in us all. Not limited by gotta be, gotta, right? Yes.
Can I tell a short story?
Sure.
That involves so what you said that you like sea surfers, or they come and stand up and meditate,
Yes.
or they don't know.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, see what they are. She doesn't know nothing about it. They don't meditate. They look at the waves and they plan what they're gonna do, what you do about this place. And then that's that's what I thought.
Yes.
Sorry about. But then, and I even told when we came with friends, I said, my teacher, meditation teacher, she thought that surfers they meditate. She doesn't know that they actually. And then a couple of times I thought, look, why should I be so like mathematical about it?
Yeah.
Why don't they just stop and actually relax and just do nothing and
Yes.
feel the ocean,
Yeah.
the sand, and
Yeah.
so and that is I thought about it now. That is actually the example of how you, instead of thinking that and you build to yourself something like a truck to run on them,
Yes.
and then you run on them,
Yes.
and you just stop it. And so if you think that somebody said something and it's silly, or I know because this is this that, and that's actually the moment where you can stop and think that somebody is looking in different ways at things.
Yeah.
And there's opportunity, right?
That's opportunity.
So it's so good to stop that I know.
Yes. And it's good to know who's talking when you go there. When that mind, that I know mind steps in, what's really happening? What do you think is really happening? Some kind of grab, isn't it? It's some kind of claim. No, we're saying really. No, like this. Like this. And this does not allow for seeing, knowing, feeling, sensing at all, does it? It's blind. This is all you can know. And I struggle really dramatically. It's been an actual trigger for me. It's been such a beautiful teaching. My husband, who I've been with a lifetime, right, since I was a kid, literally would go, "That's stupid." It was perfect. It's perfect. It couldn't be more perfect. Because what do? No. No. I know this. Now you might know that. I will open that much because I'm not completely idiot. I'm gonna 100. Oh, it might be true that you know that, but I know this. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yes. 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 Yep. Well, it's how we got our pants on. It's how we didn't put our hand in the fire today, right? I mean, there is a wisdom in a certain kind of knowing, but knowing, isn't it? I know, not so much. Knowing, and in fact, we can call that out. Knowing sensations like this, can't we? Knowing thoughts like this. Well, this is a brief moment in its ever-changing, expanding. This is no problem. The I know has a whole different octave. It's that you can feel it, can't you? Can't you feel the staticky, solid? No, like this, just like this. And yeah, you can have yours over there. But this is true for me. By the way, it didn't make it less true for me. It wasn't the information that was the problem, was it? We have the information we have. Knowing like this. It was the grab, the gotta, the mind, the right, the this, not that. This is the way that we begin to contribute to our suffering. And in awakening joy, the fluidness, can you feel it? We're doing it the last 2 weeks. The openness, the resting in the knowing to know more is a certain path, they would say, certain path to happiness.
Kind of create a disconnect here. I know this, you are wrong.
The I is actually the problem. Honestly, the pronoun is the problem. Knowing is just whatever you have, and that's inherently an offering, is what kind of Mike is saying. It could be a contribution. Well, I kind of know this, like this, but it doesn't have that static, stuck, self-referencing, self-claiming against the other's quality. And we know these are the causes for suffering.
And she's pretty much like that. She's fantastic. I'm having a conversation with her about a subject, and she's like, "This is what it is," and I'm like, "Yes, it is, but there is also," and she doesn't want to listen. And then I get stuck into you have to become knowing instead of become know. And then I just crazy talk. And then I'm like feeling my body. I'm like, no. And that was the beauty of having the practice.
Yeah.
Because I finally realized, oh my God.
Yeah.
Even though I'm trying to tell her there is a knowing and you are the know, that's the way she is.
Yes.
I'm just like her.
Yes. Yes. and the suffering, and the discontent, and the dissatisfaction, and the separation, right?
I felt separated.
Of course, because now we've got this and that. And this is, again, guaranteed. And you can feel it in the body. So we can always drop into this Buddha body and know what? The contraction, the tightness, the grip, the felt sense of separation. We know it. Now we often just touch and go. We're not really staying with the experience to say what is closing, what's shutting down, what's gripping here, so that I can bring my this Buddha mind and Buddha heart right to it. Yeah, delusion is very grippy. Got a lot of thorns. So the practice for the rest of your life and for the rest of mine is to notice what contributes to awakening happiness, ease, joy, goodness, and benefit in you, right? And to pay attention and notice. And then to the extent that you can, note them, right? Remembering something about them. And actually also paying attention to what, with kindness, care, and compassion, to what contributes to our shutdown, our collapse, our sense of failure, our not enoughness. Not because it's true. That's not why we look. We look to see its cause. What has happened? Oh, I went into if only. I went into it's gotta be. I went into I gotta be. I went into, but it's only like this, the limited belief thoughts that we can all fall into. And we can, when we see them, we are no longer in them. This is the beauty of our Buddha nature. So when I can see restlessness, as I did this morning, I could rest in restlessness. I didn't need to push it away. I didn't need to claim it. Arising conditions, restlessness. I actually understand something about how that happened. I looked at antecedents and saw, oh, there was that. I woke up in the middle of the night with a little night terror because I heard something, right? That sets some of the conditions for that morning restlessness. There was a quality of mind yesterday that I brought with me that's continued and that I have been feeding in a very subtle way. I saw it. Oh, with this quality of mind and that scary thought and, right, this restlessness. And it didn't take a dissertation, by the way. It took like, oh, interesting. There were some key moments. Now, by the way, do I need to change anything? Not at all. Not at all. In fact, what I would say is the algorithm worked perfectly. It held true with this distressed mind and contact with something that's not very well known, restlessness, proven to be true over and over again, is the result. But the knowing dissolves the solidness of the restlessness. Guess where I am now? Buddha nature, knowing restlessness. See, I don't have to get rid of it. It's already transformed. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to get rid of it. I didn't have to make it go away. I didn't have to get something else. But seeing clearly, being ardent, knowing, and staying in the open space of knowing. That's a lovely way to put it, isn't it? Really, it's open space for knowing. Then we shut down to nothing. Even when the view is not, doesn't matter. View like this, right? Perspective like this. The truth is, no matter how much you like or don't like Trump, what's the truth? There are things that have happened that are contributing to some good, and there are things that are happening that are not contributing to some good. It is true. Like him or don't like him, or be on his side or not be on his side. And actually, be careful. Be careful. Isn't it? Always be careful. And right, and so everybody says, oh, but so Obama, I'll just use politics, right? He didn't do everything right. Well, there's no doubt about it. I love the man. I love the man. What's also true, some things that he did that contributed to the good, and some things that he actually did that, given, like us all, what we can see, right? What we can see, be careful. And so intention setting will be your number one challenge. The remembering will be your number two challenge. The living it would be your number three challenge, right? Because all the intention that is not then lived or realized, nice words on a page. They're lovely. We even make them pretty. But without, then how do I, right, with that intention, that word's just a note, how do I live this? This is the path. There is no cushion time. There is no cushion time. Without then, how do I then go and live this? How you live your life. Joko used to say this to me all the time, and she knew me well, so she would say, really, it's how you're loving your husband and your children. This is it. And if you're complaining, you're taking up some important energy. So that's where the practice is. How are you loving the people you love? How are you loving the people you don't love? And how are you caring for all beings, even those people you don't know? And we know where to begin, don't we? We begin that first thing in the morning with ourselves, offering ourselves that reminder of our own Buddha nature, our own goodness, our own infinite capacity for ease, for happiness, for well-being. And so may we offer it every breath, every day, and always, starting now, right? Yeah, let's sit together for just a minute. Starting now. Buddha being, Buddha body, making contact with that radiant, warm, open, spacious heart. May we all be happy and have the causes for true happiness. Breathe it in, let it touch you, your own Buddha nature, and breathe it out. Letting it go, letting it be. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Sending out that good medicine. May we all have joy at the joy of others. Endless, boundless joy. May we all have equanimity, free from aversions, attachments, and all affliction. May we rest in our radiant, infinite, and open Buddha nature. It helps to remember that's who we really are. You, O nobly born, remember who you really are. and be happy. Thank you for your practice, your presence, and your Buddha being. We will be here next Tuesday. We'll see. Who knows how it'll go? Don't want to say, just in the knowing. It is my intention to be here. So that's our start. We will have a Thursday evening sitting this week, by the way, this Thursday at 6:30. It's moved in the summertime now that we have more light. So for anybody who'd like to join, we're staying on the Buddha being theme, and it's been beautiful outside. So please join us. If you didn't, if you couldn't make Wordle work, because Lisa and I both couldn't, worditout.com. And I'm going to be putting this right near me so I can use it as my frame of reference for intention setting each day. And it's pretty fun, and you can do it in colors. There's a lot of fun stuff to do. So thank you all so much. This has been a fabulous series. I've enjoyed it a lot. I hope it has been of benefit to you. It's been a joy. It has been a joy. James Barras is going to be doing a little 4-week series, by the way. If you're interested, I'll send you the link, on 3 of the end chapters. He's doing a little month-long program online, and I think it starts end of June or July. I can't remember, but I'll send you the link. And it's loving ourselves, loving others, compassion, and I think the joy of being. He took the last 4, and he's going to do a little 4 weeks. So that would be a possibility for support. You'd get something from his style and his relationship to the teachings, which would be amazing. And I'm guessing because it's 4 weeks, he also does a scholarship always, by the way, program. So if you go, whoops, that number for the online doesn't work for me, you just make an offering. They'll work with you. So you just say, I can do this. And there's a place where you click scholarship or something, and they'll ask a question like, how much would you want to pay a month or a week, or what's your total? But anyway, they even did it with me, which was really lovely. I'm going to send you the link so that you can see it. It'll be a nice way to support these teachings and practices. All right, everyone, have a fabulous day. Awaken joy. It looks like it's going to be a pretty nice day out there. Yes, I see some sun on the calendar. Yes, I think. Should I hit stop here? Pause. Oh, just hit end meeting.